Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today.
Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. 'Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here, am I on? If somebody responds.
What happened? Why isn't it hump day? There's what I'm talking about.
Wednesday, I called it hump day.
Damn technology.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is?
I don't know what day
it is.
Hump day.
Huh? Anybody? Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Hump day.
Guess what today is?
Hump day. This technology will kick your butt every time. Welcome to Hump Day in the Doghouse. I am your host, Thom Abraham. We have a truncated one for you today. It is a truncated Hump Day in the Doghouse for you today because afternoon baseball is coming up. I mean, I just love it in the summertime. Don't you? I mean, look, it's the middle of summer. I know that we're past SEC Media Days and the NFL camps are open, but it's the middle of summer, okay? So a little summertime afternoon baseball is a great way to pass the day while you're working, if you're riding around, if you're whatever you're doing. It's great. Now, the Braves got another solid outing from Spencer Strider last night. 6 innings, 1 run allowed. Money Mike and Matt Olson homering. Are Matt Olson's numbers better than Freddie's yet for this year? We talked about where they were going to be like 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I know he's got more homers than him, and I think more RBI. Freddie has a better average, but don't you want power from your corner infielders? Matt Olson, it'd be very interesting to see. I can't wait to see it at the end of the season. Austin Riley extending his hitting streak to 18 games, and the Braves get the 6-3 win. Did you know that...
We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Did you know that the Braves are the only team in Major League Baseball to not lose 3 games in a row this season? Not the Yankees, not the Dodgers, not the Astros or the Mets. The Braves. The Braves. Remember the first half of the season, it was always like they win a game, lose a game, win 2, lose 2, win a game, lose a game, win 2, lose 2. All season long, it's been that way. They were on a 2-game losing streak going into last night's game. They are the only team in all of baseball to not lose 3 games in a row. I think that means something. That's something positive when it comes to the playoffs. The Mets also won last night 6-3, overcoming a first-inning home runs by Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo in a 6-3 win over the Yanks. Subway Series. That had a playoff feel to it. Look, is it possible that that's a preview of the World Series? Yeah, sure. Sure. Is that possible? Sure. Is it likely? No. Personally, I think Astros-Dodgers is the most likely World Series matchup. Is it possible that it could be Yankees-Mets? Yeah. Yankees-Dodgers? Yeah. Yankees-Braves? Sure. Now, we're going to take you right up to pregame. We're out at 11:15 today. So you got me for another hour and 8 minutes. Phone lines are open. 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. You can text the show. 7329-TA show. 732-982-7469. It's a great way to communicate with us. My personal Twitter feed, at Thom Abraham Show. The station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN. I should put Grizz's Twitter feed on here. It's like at Gwathney Chad. Did I say it right? At Gwathney Chad. I think that's it. He's nodding. I'm looking at him through the window. At Gwathney Chad. You can check him out on the Twitter as well. I think he's got like a half a dozen Twitter accounts. I think he's got like different things that he tweets and from different things. I'm not 100% sure. You can watch the show on the Facebook at 97.7 ESPN and on Twitch and our YouTube channel at WZZN TV. Maybe Maybe. I don't know, because we're still playing with that now. We're kind of up. Oh, there we are. Very cool. XSplit. Is it XSplit? No. Oh, wait a minute. OBS? Is that OBS? Technical talk there. That's technical TV talk. God, Chris, you look crystal clear, man. I don't look bad. You look crystal clear. I think he's working like a champ right now. He got a new camera or something over there. He's looking good. Hey, ladies. WZZN TV. Right there. Ladies, check him out. He's available. He's available. He's not available till like 10 at night, and he's only available till about 4 in the morning because he works the rest of the time. Hey, check it out, man. WZZN TV. Get the app. You'll find links to Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4 as well, our alternate streaming channels. We introduced you to the Blitz this week. There's a link there to the Blitz as well. The Blitz's app, it might be available. I mean, it's like available any minute now. They're just putting the finishing touches on it. But you can catch the afternoon Blitz today at 2 over there on the Blitz from 2 to 4. It's the afternoon Blitz with young Captain Cool, the Bandyman, and Smokey Mike Honcho. Coming up next week, the recruiting Blitz with Double D, Drew DeHarmon, will be from 9 to 10. So if you don't like national programming, so what you would do is you'd listen to Talkin' Ball from 7 to 9. Then you'd switch over to the Blitz, and you'd listen to Drew with the recruiting Blitz. And then at 10, you'd come back to the Zone and listen to me till noon. And then from noon to 2, you get Chuck Oliver here, and you get ESPN radio on the Blitz, right? And then from 2 to 4, you would get the afternoon Blitz with those guys while Feinbaum is over here. You know what I'm saying? And then at you can bounce back and forth. Whatever you like, whatever is your flavor, you can dig it. Coming up in a few minutes, Josh Carey and another Carey's Corner will join us. The Trash Pan is kind of scuffling around that 500 mark after winning the first half of the season. Playoff tickets are available now, though, because they are in the playoffs. So playoff tickets are available, and you could snag that. There's a good feature article on Preston Palmeiro, Rafael Palmeiro's son. I cannot get over how much Preston Palmeiro looks like Rafael Palmeiro. They got a picture up on the front page of the Rocket City Trash Pandas Facebook page, which is MILB, minor league, MILB.com/rocket-city. And they got a side by each picture up of Rafi and Preston Palmeiro. It's stunning how much alike they look. Stunning. Because Preston rocking that mustache, too. He's got to be doing that for the old man. We got to get him on the show, Grizz. We got to get with Aaron and say, we want Preston Palmeiro on the show, like on Monday when they're off, on their off day. That would be fun. Tickets are also on sale there for the UNA Jack State game. Are they still available? I think they're still available. Tickets on sale there for UNA Jack State. That's cool. And speaking of football in a baseball stadium, I'll tell you what, Joe Davis is moving along good. We get to see it, whenever we drive down the South Parkway to the radio station, and you can see it. But the Joe is looking good. Is it going to still be called Joe Davis when the soccer team plays there? When Rocket City SC? I'm going to call it Rocket City SC. Look, they're owned by Nashville SC. Isn't it Nashville SC? It's not Nashville FC. It's Nashville SC, right? Soccer club. So this is going to be either Rocket City SC or Rocket City FC. I think it will be Rocket City FC or SC. I think that's what they're going to call it. Anyway, they're going to play soccer there at the Joe, and they're going to play high school football there. Can't wait. Looks good. It looks good. What they're doing looks good. When does this soccer team start play? Is it going to be in spring of 23 or 24? 23? We'll see. Grizz is going to be very fired up about that. Grizz might be the PA announcer for the team. Who knows? If Grizz isn't involved in some way, let me tell you something right now. Whoever it is that's handling this soccer team, if Grizz isn't involved in that, then they're making a huge mistake. There is nobody in the Huntsville sports market that knows more about that European kick-a-skull-around sport that started in Africa. There's nobody that knows more about it than my man, Coach Grizz, Soccer Grizz, Soccer Chad. I mean, it could happen. I'll tell you right now, if Rocket City SC isn't playing on the Blitz next summer, I'd be stunned. Stunned. In fact, I think I will get to work on that. My first broadcasting gigs, I did pre and post for the Rochester Raging Rhinos of the A-League, which back then was the same level of what this is going to be, the AAA level of MLS. I did pre and post for that thing. Middle of the night, they'd be playing the Seattle Sounders. We'd come out at 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern and do me and Soccer Sam Fantuzzo. You imagine that? Soccer Sam Fantuzzo and the Big Dog doing post-game on the Rochester Raging Rhinos game. We'd open up the show in the middle of the night. We'd be like, nutmeg someone you love. Nutmeg. Soccer term. Anyway, Josh Carey coming up. Jerry Jones has found himself in hot water for using an offensive term at Cowboys camp yesterday. I didn't know. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm losing track of what's offensive and what's not offensive. He was talking about a beloved employee of the Cowboys that died this past year at 85 years old. That was always on the field during practice. It was always like at Jerry Jones' side. And the guy was diminutive. I'm not saying he was a little people, but he was diminutive. He was a small guy. He was a short guy. He was vertically challenged. Can we say that? So Jerry was lovingly talking about missing. His name is Jace. He was lovingly talking about missing Jace at practice. And he says, I'm going to go out and get me a M word. He used the M word for little people. I'm going to go out and give me the M word and have him walk around with me and tell everybody it's Jace. I mean, Jerry's like 80 himself, you know. You can't say the M word anymore for little people. What can you say? Can you say dwarf? No, I think you can because it said, no? You can't say dwarf? What, just little people? I mean, it's got to be something else other than little people. That doesn't sound right. I don't know. I don't know what you can say or not say. I do know this, that the if you go to Hockey Time Productions and you look at all their youth hockey tournaments that are being played all over the country this summer, that they do have a midget division of hockey. That's what I'm looking at it right now, the 18 and under midgets, the 16 and under midgets. They've got the Pee Wee division. They got the Bantam division. And they've got the midget division. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm just sharing in case anybody wants to sign up for one of these hockey tournaments. I don't know. I mean, I do know that USA Hockey and Canada Hockey, Canada, they changed the names of their divisions. They changed them to just like 10U, 8U. See, 8U was mini mites. Mite. It used to be mini mite, mite, squirt, peewee, bantam. And then ages 16U and 18U were the M word. But there are still, but if you go and look, there's the 2022 16. I'm just reading a thing. This is not, there's nothing wrong. 16U midgets hockey tournament. That was the term that was always used for it. They did away with it in 2019 with USA Hockey and USA Canada, but there are still plenty of tournaments all around the country that you can play. I don't know. The heck do I know? I know that over in that little glass room over there, Playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax. God, making WZZN TV look very good today. It's Coach Chris.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm on jacked up on Mountain Dew. That Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the f*** it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Chris, I gotta say, man, WZZN TV looks better than ever, and it's holding up, which, typically with me, every 5 minutes, the Twitch would drop, but I'm looking at the WZZN TV right now, other than me being a little washed out, but that's me. That's a me problem. That's my camera. I don't think I have a very good camera. But other than that, I mean, it looks good. It's holding up. It's solid as all get out.
No, I just think that once we get everything rolling, and I think what's nice about this OBS tool, or OBS Studios, if anyone out there streams and knows what we're talking about, I think it works better with our computer. It's not pushing so much like the old system would, or the old way that we used to do it, the streaming service that we were using. And I think honestly, we're not putting so much on it as well either. So it's kind of helping us a little bit by doing that. But yeah, no, everything looks good. The cameras,
the bottom line.
Oh
the
yeah,
bottom line looks good.
I still got to work on that because depending on more that what happens is I got to get it to stop expanding or retracting, and so a lot of times it's literally like minimizing the wording and everything when I add more to it. So I'm just going to keep it at what it's at and fix that, and then let that roll.
You don't really need much more on there.
You don't really. You just need the call, you need the text, and then you just need.
You could probably put the guest up when a guest is coming up, right?
That's the only issue is it makes it smaller, so I have to behind the scenes.
Well, can you replace it like where the phone number is or something like that? Just replace it.
Correct. I could do that. Yeah, because there'd be some more room.
Right.
And I would just do one guest at a time instead of the rest of the day.
Right. We don't need callers when we're having a guest on. So maybe you replace where it says call and text, and those of you that are watching, you see the call and the text line there. So it's very cool. I think it looks great. To be honest with you, I think it looks.
And by the way, I am trying to get in touch with the people at Nashville SC. So they did give me an email, and so I have been trying to contact them. So I'm trying to work my magic with the local team.
Coordinate that with me, too, and I'll help with that because I think that, to be honest with you, serious.
Once they say Tom Abraham, they'll know.
Serious.
Yeah,
I think we can do something.
It'd be pretty fun.
That to make that. Did you know about the M word that you can't use that?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's a lot of words nowadays that obviously there's a few words out there that you just shouldn't use at all. But I think the terminology's changed. Like you said, it is Little People. I mean, it says in the article that Little People of America, the name of the organization, reached out to TMZ and said some things about it.
Derogatory slur.
Yeah.
And the things that and it says that at the Little People of America website, it says the dwarfism community has voiced the preferred to be refuge. Oh, wait a minute. Dwarf is good. Dwarf works. It says here that it's just Little People of America. The word, the M word, was never coined as the official term to identify people with dwarfism. Today, the word is considered a derogatory slur. The dwarfism community has voiced that they prefer to be referred to as dwarfs, little people, people of short stature, or having dwarfism, or simply, more preferably, by their given name. Well, yeah, but sometimes we use it as an identifier, like I'm a big guy. You know what I mean? And you say, or somebody is sometimes you identify somebody by their race, if it is appropriate, or you say they're Italian or Irish or black or white or whatever. So if you have to go, but to use the term dwarf is okay. So now we know what you can say.
Yeah, I guess it's because he said, I got to get somebody to take place of the former guy.
M-word.
Oh, is it just because the M-word? I thought it was the way he said it, though. It's all about context.
I got to get a little person to stand next to me. Would have been fine because that's a That's what he needs. He needs a little person to stand next to him because this guy was a little guy. That would be like saying I need a giant. Let's say you had a guy that worked with you and it was always side by each, and the guy was like 6'7" and weighed 350 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So you would say, and then he passed away, and now that was your bodyguard or whatever. So, and then you say, I got to get a big guy to come hang out with me. I got to get this big Italian dude to come hang out with me, and I'll just tell everybody it's Rocco. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you could say that. So he needed to say, I need to get a little guy to stand next to me, and I'll tell everybody it's Jace. But he used the M word. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is that word is still used for hockey tournaments. That's what 17 and under 17U and 18U hockey was always the midget division, and I'm saying it because it's on their website as that's the name of the division. It was weird because you would think that it would be for the littlest people. But the little guys, the little 6-year-old and 8-year-olds were the mites, the mighty mites, the pee-wees. You know, you'd work your way up. And then when you were in high school, you played midget hockey. That's what you played. So, and it's still a term that is used widely. Am I making you feel uncomfortable?
No, I don't know. I just think nowadays a lot of people feel like that they tend to like have to like put their 2 cents on what people can say or how they can say it. And I get it, like. There's freedom of speech, but you always get the consequences behind the freedom of speech. But it just seems like nowadays, even if you say anything nowadays, you're going to offend anybody.
My God, now Brandon says on the stream, can we get caption clouds and sound effects on WZZN TV?
He needs caption. He needs closed captioning.
No. He wants the caption clouds and sound effects like bam, boom, pow, like on the old Batman TV show, or maybe an alarm emoji when Tom goes off on a rant, or you know what I mean? Like my head could blow up. You know, you could have my head blow up, and you could have a.
No, I can always get my sound pad that I can throw in here too, and that can be on the desktop audio. People on the stream can hear it.
Yeah, everything that goes across the air goes across that thing. So obviously those. But no, he's talking about those deals. You know what I'm talking about? They're you know, like the window or the. Yeah, we need another person for that. If we had a whole nother people.
I gotta have 2 more arms.
We would need a whole nother people for that. If we were going to start doing things like, look, I've been doing this thing for 25 years now.
We're talking about 25 years.
Yeah. I've been doing it for a quarter of a century.
That's a quarter of a century.
Thank you, Pete. I mean, it's a pretty long.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. But I've never seen anything like this. I mean, this technology is moving so fast. It's amazing. And by the way, Grizz, let's pull the curtain back a little bit. We won't get too detailed.
What's up?
But you don't know this, but I got a budget approved yesterday.
Ooh. To
make the studio more TV friendly.
You said something about that yesterday.
Well, I said I was going for it yesterday.
Yeah,
in the meeting, I said I was going for it, but I can't. You know what I mean? I gotta get the big guy to okay everything I want to do. So
we can get the big guy on screen. I think that's coming soon.
We need a bigger screen.
A bigger camera.
I got the big guy to approve a budget so that we can take the studio to the next level. So
that's gonna be nice.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of good stuff in here.
And I told Captain Cool is going to lead that because he's like the one that's kind of got all that crap kind of figured out a little bit. But I told him to work with you and Scott too, and you guys come up with the proper look and the proper cameras and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, Josh Carey joins us. Another Carey's Corner. That's next right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
UFC 277 set for Saturday in Dallas. The main event, the highly anticipated rematch between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. Nunes a minus 275 favorite, Pena plus 230. For the Interim Flyweight Championship, Brandon Moreno minus 220 against Kai Kara France at plus 175. Patrick Cantlay, the favorite at the Rocket Mortgage Classic underway this week. Cantlay at plus 1,000. 3M Open champion Tony Finau at plus 1,400, along with Will Zalatoris, Cameron Young at plus 1,600. Braves and Phillies game 3 this afternoon. Atlanta minus 172 on the money line. Philadelphia plus 140 at home. The over-under at 8.5. The teams have split the first 2 games of the series. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at baddaddysburgerbar.com.
All right, where are we going for breakfast?
I kind of want a breakfast quesadilla.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing quesadillas for breakfast these days.
Well, Taco Bell is.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, they have this Bell breakfast box now that comes with this breakfast quesadilla that's super cheesy and a hash brown.
Okay, wish I knew about this earlier.
And it has Cinnabon Delights and a coffee in it.
Why did I not know about this earlier?
Try the new $5 Bell breakfast box, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations during breakfast hours only, 7 to 11 a.m. for a limited time. Contact local store for prices and participation when fair. Tax extra. Drinks exclude freezes.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. An isolated, widely scattered shower or thunderstorm is going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Typical summertime pattern. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Otherwise, it's just simply hot and humid. Temperatures drop into the mid-70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
As the Atlanta Braves battle for another postseason run.
Throw comes in, and he got him! Oh, my goodness, what a throw!
It's also the start of football season. We've got you covered right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Or you're thinking about purchasing and you want to get pre-qualified, do that. right? If you think, even if you don't end up buying something, it's not going to hurt to be pre-qualified and have that in your pocket with North Alabama Mortgage. And you have that in your back pocket, you're ready to go. All of a sudden, you find that right property, and you say, oh, time to pull the trigger. Call Brian Harsin. You make your purchase offer. You call Brian Hammaker, not Brian Harsin. Don't call Brian Harsin. He cannot help you. He cannot help you. He won't be here next year to service your loan. Brian Hammaker will. You call Brian Hammaker, his team, they'll make sure that your deal goes through as quickly as possible, assuming that your offer gets accepted. But let me tell you something. Being pre-approved with North Alabama Mortgage is going to help go a long ways towards helping that offer be accepted. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. All right, joining us now from the famous Carey Broadcasting family, it is Josh Carey with another Carey's Corner. He's the voice of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and he is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Josh, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, partner. I'm good. How was SEC Media Days?
As usual, SEC Media Days was absolutely a madhouse, but it was very well organized. There was a lot of good stuff that came out of it. It moved along quickly, and it was pretty cool having it in Atlanta. The only negative thing about it was it's always the All-Star break when we're at SEC Media Days, so the opportunity to maybe jump out and go to a Braves game, was not there.
Went by the wayside. We were at the hotel that had it in Hoover last year, and we were leaving on the day everyone started showing up, and even then you could tell it was going to be a disaster. Just so many people coming in at once, but I'm glad you had a good time, man. I bet it's interesting.
No, it's way interesting, and I'll say this too about Hoover, the Galleria there. I don't know that they're going to be able to continue to have it there. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think it's getting too big. I don't know that they can accommodate it there. I know next year it's going to be in Nashville, and then the following year I'm not sure where it's going to be. I'm positive they're going to take us to Dallas in 2025 when Oklahoma and Texas are coming into the league. I bet they send us out to Dallas. But you look at some of the other media days that some of the other conferences are having. They're having them at stadiums and things like that. I don't know that we're going to be able to keep doing it at Hoover. I wish we could because it's the heart of the SEC, but I don't know if we can keep going there. But that's pretty cool that you guys were staying there. That's a nice little crib.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot, and you're right. Every time we go to Hoover, the stadium is in downtown Birmingham, but we stay in Hoover, and there's always about 2 or 3 other things going on over there. I mean, they really try to do too much, and I get it because they make a lot of money off it. But we had some comic book convention the last time we were in there, and it was just a disaster trying to get the charter bus in there and drop the players off and pick them back up. And that's for one baseball team. I can't imagine trying to host 14 SEC teams. It's just too crazy down there.
Well, you're not a Comic-Con guy? I mean, you don't dress up and go down there as Batman or something like that? You don't.
So here's the deal. I remember that was nothing. I remember one time, this is when I was in Indy Ball. We were in New Jersey, Somerset, New Jersey, and we went down there, or we went up there to play a series, and the buses stop at the hotel. It was a nice hotel, but there were all these people dressed in these like medieval type of costumes. Some of them were wearing gas masks. It was really weird. It was a convention called Steampunk. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but you might want to do a quick Google on it. It was one of the most bizarre things. You had this team of, jock baseball players around all of these, we'll just call it interesting type of people. And, we spent an entire weekend with them sharing the hotel. It was definitely one of the more bizarre things I've been around.
I've heard of these conventions. Grizz, you know about this stuff. Have you ever gone to one of these things where they what is that real popular video game where people would go, I don't know what it was for years, and maybe it's not as popular anymore, but where people go dressed up in that medieval times. And my son-in-law, I had a son-in-law was a geek for that. Did you do that stuff?
I never did the medieval stuff, but I do love to go to a Comic-Con every now and then. There's a great one in San Antonio called PAX South that I would love to go to sometime, but just never got myself to go to. But it's a lot of video gaming and Comic-Con.
My son went as the Spider-Man, and
the one here is great.
Pictures. They were taking pictures with him and stuff. People are goofy about that stuff. I don't get it.
People take it seriously. People spend a lot of money on making costumes for the specific people that they like to be.
Dude, that anime stuff, that's no joke, boy. People are really into that stuff. I mean, the people who are into it are really obsessed with it. I don't get it, but, God bless.
Well, you say that, and it's funny because my sons, who are all into sports, but, my one particular son that was into that stuff too, they say, well, what about your obsession with baseball and football and sports? And what about when you go to these they have these memorabilia conventions? How come you guys get all geeked up because you go to the Hall of Fame or something and you're seeing, Derek Jeter's bat from his last at bat and you're getting all geeked up over that. So there's that. I'm like, how do you watch all that anime? And he goes, how do you sit down and watch football for 12 hours every Saturday in the fall? So
the only thing I would say to that is that, sports is based on reality. I mean, it's an actual event that's happening. A lot of this stuff is based on fantasy. I mean, make believe, set up and fictional characters and things like that. I mean, I appreciate like a good show or whatever, but even I know how to separate fact from fiction. And sometimes these things really blur the line to people who are really obsessed. It's their entire world, and it separates them from the reality of life, and to me that's probably the biggest problem. The ones who are really deep involved with it.
I can't believe I'm looking at the picture at the Trash Pandas website, and the picture side by each of Preston Palmeiro and his daddy Rafael Palmeiro. I can't believe how much they look alike. They look like twin brothers, not father son, twin brothers, especially with Preston rocking that mustache that mustache is back in vogue right now, and he's rocking the old Rafael Palmeiro mustache. Even his hand placement, it's just slightly different. His hands are slightly higher, but it is amazing how much the kid looks like the old man there.
Yeah, and what's funny is he has the same approach at the plate as his old man. Ability to go to all fields. He'll go to the off field, no problem. I mean, he has such a smooth and gentle swing, and the ball just explodes off it. Obviously, he doesn't have the same batting average as his dad, but you're right. We've got about 3 or 4 guys now who are sporting that mustache, and I've been meaning to ask them if there's something behind that, but that's something that Preston really switched up. He had more of a scruffy look for most of the year. But he just went to this mustachioed look recently, and he's having a heck of a year, so you can't complain.
I think you need to do it for the playoffs. I think you need to rock the mustache for the play. But I don't remember any of the Kerry broadcasters doing that. I don't remember. Certainly Harry never had any facial hair, but I don't know if your dad or your brothers or any of them ever had. I'm trying to think, but they always seem to have been clean-shaven Kerrys.
Dad had a mustache for a while. This is when he worked for the Hawks back in the 70s. He had a full-on mustache and an afro. I'm not kidding. A full-on. He went full 1970s with this thing, and it really did not look good. So he's done it. He did it before, but again, he was on radio at the time. I think the TV folks want you to be clean-shaven unless you can really make the facial hair look good.
And he was at Salt Lake last year, is that right? So he came down from AAA to AA this year. That's got to be so hard on a guy, especially a guy that knows what it looks like because he grew up, with a daddy that was, an outstanding player. And if he didn't get jammed up with the whole steroid thing, he's an obvious Hall of Famer by his numbers. But that must be a tough thing and a tough adjustment for a player, even though he probably plays in front of some bigger crowds here than he does in Salt Lake.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the job there is to when you get to AAA, you feel like you're right on the doorstep, right? And you are playing in bigger stadiums, and you're on planes as opposed to buses. There are a lot of positives that go with AAA. But at the end of the day, Preston is one of those guys who's a solid organizational player. You look at his numbers, they don't wow you. I mean, he's not batting .320 or anything like that. But he plays solid defense. He's a quality hitter. He's going to get the job done, but he's not one of those guys who has a high ceiling. You know, he's kind of like a Torrey Hunter Jr. in that regard. Very good ball player, just maybe not a, quote, prospect. Now, obviously, if there's some injuries or something like that and the Angels really need someone, okay, they might give him a shot. But the reason why he got bumped down is because David McKinnon, our guy from last year, well, he was so brilliant at AA, they wanted to give him a shot at AAA. There was nowhere else to put Preston, so they bumped him down a level. And to his credit, he's kept a smile on his face. He shows up every day. He grinds. And he's just making a name for himself. And I'm sure his father would be very proud of him for what he's doing.
Guys, too. Also, you know, yeah, you say the AAA is the doorstep, but we've seen guys making this jump, where the Angels aren't afraid to take a look at guys from Rocket City, and they've made this jump. And it was funny. I had a guy on who's a beat writer, Jeff Fletcher, for the Angels a couple of days ago, talking about his new book on Shohei Ohtani and the remarkable 2021 season that Shohei Ohtani had. And of course, he knew he was on here in Huntsville. And, we were talking, I was joking with him about, getting Shohei or getting Mike Trout down here on a rehab stint. I've been pushing for that. I couldn't get it done. But he did say, I did say, well, at least we sent you Reed Detmers and a no-hitter, and we sent you a couple of other guys that have, done some things. In the short history of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, it's amazing how many guys have already been to the show.
Yeah, well, last year was such an anomaly with having 10 pitchers called up there. I mean, they wanted to have a real good look at these guys and see what they had to offer. But typically in a year, you'll see maybe 3-4 guys get a shot at the major leagues. And you're right. What we've learned really in my brief time here with Rocket City is that when you go from double to AAA, it's not really that big of a jump. The deal with AAA is all the things I just talked about. It's really reserved for guys who've been to the show, who have earned their stripes, but there's just not enough room for them at the major league level. And so instead of putting them down at AA, where they're going to have to hop on the bus and go from town to town and play in smaller ballparks and stay in, lesser hotels, you put them in AAA where they can fly. They're playing in nicer stadiums, staying in nicer hotels. They're getting all of this great treatment for what they have earned, even though there's not a spot for them at the major league level. That's really all it's about. It's a nice holding pen, and if they need someone, they can reach down there and get them. But the real prospects are here at AA, and that's where a lot of teams are starting to turn to when they want to see someone. They'll just move them right through AAA and bring them straight to the majors.
New deal that the major leagues did with the minor leagues in terms of living expenses and some of the other stuff. It seems like it's releasing some pressure from these guys. These guys can actually kind of make a living wage when they're playing in AA baseball. It's not some of the horror stories that we had seen in the past.
No, and these horror stories that people talk about, it wasn't anything new. I mean, these were things that had been going on in baseball for over a century. But the biggest difference is when you look at Huntsville and Birmingham and Chattanooga and Knoxville and Pearl, Mississippi, all these places, you could go to those cities 10, 15 years ago, and you could find an apartment for $600, put 6 months on it, get 2 teammates, have them share it with you, you split the cost, and it wasn't a big deal. But now all of those cities I've just mentioned are bigger, and they're growing. It's impossible to find an apartment for $600 in Madison, Alabama, and if you do, it might not be all that safe. So you're putting guys in this awful predicament where they're not getting paid a whole lot. Now they got to find a spot. It's going to, blow out their income. So what they've been doing this year in putting them in a fixed facility, an apartment up there, is that it's taken all that pressure off these guys. And even though it's a little more money out of the owner's pocket, it takes care of all these prospects who they want to see grow and prosper in a very different time.
Josh Carey with us here. I see that tickets are on sale for the UNA Jacksonville State game. How is that? How are those ticket sales going? I'm at the site. It looks so cool. They show the way the football field is going to be laid out there, and they've got the different prices for the different sections. Some of these sections, I'm surprised at how affordable that they are, to be honest with you. But how are sales going? Do you know for this deal?
I really don't know. I think right now it's a little on the quiet side just because we're still in baseball season. But also, here's what's going to be the hardest thing about that, Tom. I'm not sure where Alabama and Auburn are playing that weekend, but you've got a 6 o'clock start. And I think a lot of people want to wait and see what time Bama and Auburn are going to be playing that weekend before they make a commitment to doing that. Because, if Auburn is playing someone at, 6:30, that could hurt attendance a little bit. Same thing with Bama. So I think a lot of folks are going to wait and see on that one. And but there'll also be a lot of people who will just want to see a football game at Toyota Field and see how that looks. So right now, I'm not sure what they are, but I'll try to check in on that and see if I can get an answer.
From what I'm looking at right now, it looks like the field suites where they're going to have the temporary grandstand set up in the outfield, basically center field, if you will. It looks like that's sold out. It looks like sections 3, 4, and 5, which would be behind the first base dugout, and sections 11, 12, and 13, which is behind the third base dugout, are all sold out. So there are still plenty of good tickets left, but it appears that I'm looking at 6, 7 sections that are sold out. So that's kind of cool, man. I mean, looks like this is going to be a success. And it would be neat for this to be an annual type thing for those two schools to play kind of in the middle here.
Yeah, we'll see. First off, I will tell you that I know the bands are showing up for each school, so I think that may be one reason why some parts of that grid are blocked out. It'll be interesting because UNA obviously is an FCS school. One of the reasons they're moving their team around like they are is that they're trying to make renovations to their football stadium right now. And as for Jacksonville State, they just got bumped up. They're going to go to Conference USA here soon. So I don't know how often they will face each other. And I don't know if Jacksonville State would be interested in losing a home game, especially now that they're FBS. But it would be interesting. I also wonder what it would do to the outfield moving forward. This is a great opportunity to see how that's all going to play out and see if this is something we can do on a regular basis.
It's going to be interesting with UNA going to the new A-Sun and so on. So we'll see how all of that works out as well. All right, finally, the Braves, they get that win last night, and I heard a very interesting stat. The Braves are the only team in all of Major League Baseball to not lose 3 in a row. I mean, not the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Mets, none of those teams. The Braves have not lost 3 games in a row all season long, and that's got to be something that bodes well. If you don't have that cold streak, anytime in August, coming up in September in this pennant race, I think they're going to find themselves in great shape. And look ahead on that schedule, and you see Braves and Mets the final weekend of the season.
Yeah, it's so funny. When you and I were talking earlier in the year, back in May, we were talking about how much the Braves were struggling and how they weren't able to put a long winning streak together. And it was frustrating, but at the same time, they weren't losing a ton of games either. They were just kind of this middle-of-the-road team that was hanging around until they could get everything together. And it just goes to show you that this is a team that is very resilient. They understand how to minimize damage. And they also know that they are capable of turning it on and getting the job done. They had that stretch where they were playing nothing but sub-500 teams for a good stretch. And the feeling was that they could just hang in there and keep it all together until getting to that 14-game win streak, everything would be all right. And, you look at the flip side of it, they never lost, 5, 6, 7 games in a row during that early stretch. And that just kept them in things. And here we are. In the late part of July, and they're in the midst of a pennant race. And that's a credit to Brian Snicker. That's a credit to the ball club and how they've been able to manage themselves over the course of the season. And it should make for a great pennant race down the stretch.
Always a pleasure, doing a tremendous job, with the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Josh Carey has been our guest. Josh, I appreciate you, man. Have a good week.
All right, have a good one, partner.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to break in here. We'll come back, set you up for a very short segment on the other side of the top of the hour, and we'll tell you what we're going to talk about there, something very interesting I've got in my hands. We'll do that next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Right now, you can get $50 worth of Bad Daddy goodness for just $25 with our zone deals. Log on 977ESPN.com now to get your deal before they're gone.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. An isolated, widely scattered shower or thunderstorm is going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Typical summertime pattern. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Otherwise, it's just simply hot and humid. Temperatures drop into the mid-70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Atlanta Braves, we are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by Valley Equipment Rental with their 2 locations to serve you better. It's Valley Equipment Rental. They've got more skid steers, excavators, lifts, compressors, everything that you need to get the job done like a pro. They got more than anyone else, I'd be quite honest with you, and in the Tennessee Valley. They got more than anybody else. And now with the 2 locations, the big location out there on the North Parkway, north of Winchester Road, houses the dozers and the bigger excavators and things like that. Still has a healthy supply of skid steers and lifts and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the original location on the South Parkway there for you as well. Ross Roberts, he and his guys are all local guys. Been around this area. They care about this area. They're not some, out-of-town franchise that's in other states and everything else. They are Valley guys. They are Tennessee Valley guys. Why do you think he named it Valley Equipment Rental? Because he's a Valley guy. He's not a Valley girl. He's a Valley guy. Check them out. 2 locations. When you need them, they are there. All right, coming up at the top of the hour, with the continued expansion of the conferences now, I found something on the Twitter machine which I thought was very interesting. The Daily News, they had a sports writer back in the day, Mike Kern, it was basically right after the SEC added South Carolina and Arkansas in 1992. He predicted what the conferences were going to look like in the next few years. Now, Grizz, we're talking about 30 years ago. Exactly 30 years ago now. 1992, 93. So we're talking about 30 years ago. They were talking about it then as to what expansion would look like.
I saw that picture.
Remember when the Big Ten added Penn State? They had that goofy logo, where the T had the two numbers on the side to make it look like 11. So, but the Big Ten used to have 11 teams. Well, the Big Ten had 10 teams. They had your usual Ohio State, Michigan, Purdue, Indiana, Illinois, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan State, Iowa for 100 years. I mean, however many years. Then they added Penn State, and they were the Big Ten with 11 teams. Well, this guy had them adding one more team to get to 12. It had the Pac-10 having 12. It had the SEC expanding to 14, but not with who you think. This is really fascinating. And the ACC at the time had 9 teams, and they had them expanding to 10. I'll share that next. Phone lines go open too. 256-576-4977 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyota-thon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyota-thon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
If you or a loved one is suffering with mental health issues, call Integrated Behavioral Health. IBH's highly skilled team of trained psychiatrists and therapists can help you through the most difficult times of your life.
IBH is now open in Madison,
WCZN,
and we are
Union
welcoming
Grove,
new patients.
Huntsville,
Don't let the stress of mental health issues drag you down. Call 855-422-1618. Integrated Behavioral Health. We can help. Call 855-422-1618.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
Good morning. I'm Doug Brown. Fernando Tatis Jr. appears to be getting closer to making his season debut with the Padres. Tatis broke his left wrist in the offseason. He's expected to face live pitching later this week and then start a minor league rehab assignment. The first-place Yankees and the first-place Mets wrap up a 2-game Subway Series in Queens tonight on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Domingo Germán against Max Scherzer. In the first game, Tuesday night, Taijuan Walker goes 7 innings for a 6-3 Mets win. Eduardo Escobar with a 2-run homer in a 4-run first inning. Two-time Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner testified today at her trial in Russia. She says after she was arrested, an interpreter only translated part of what was said, and she was asked to sign documents without understanding them.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us every week for Alabama football right here.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. An isolated, widely scattered shower or thunderstorm is going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Typical summertime pattern. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Otherwise, it's just simply hot and humid. Temperatures drop into the mid-70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Touchdown, Alabama! Nolan pass inside, but he got to go to the play.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog,
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Welcome back. 15 minutes to go before we get to Braves baseball, even less than that, and we'll have Braves coverage for you coming up against the Phillies. But if you want to jump in quick, you can do it. 256-576-4977. That will get you into the show. 256-576-4977. Text window is open, 7329TA show. Don't forget, our Twitter is at 977ESPN. Our Facebook at 977ESPN. Twitch and YouTube is WZZN TV. Like and subscribe there and get notifications. Follow on Twitch. It's all cool. And go to 977ESPN.com for links to all of that stuff. Now, remember, coming up this afternoon on the Blitz, the afternoon Blitz from 2 until 4. By then, the Braves game will probably be over, so they may have some commentary on that, or you can call and talk about it there as well. So there's plenty to get into on that deal. Grizz, I went back, Coach Grizz back in the studio, and Grizz, I went back and I looked at this article that Mike Kern had written, and he was talking about what kind of expansion we could see in the various conferences and what college football would look like in a few years. He wrote this in 1993 after Alabama had expanded to South Carolina and Arkansas, and after the Big Ten had expanded to Penn State to become the Big Ten with 11 teams, and they had that little goofy logo, with the Big Ten, and it had 11 and all that kind of stuff. So in the SEC, it said that the SEC in the future, he was talking about within a few years, he said the SEC would have 14 teams. The SEC has 14 teams. Who did the SEC add? Texas A&M and Missouri.
Yes.
He had the SEC adding Cincinnati and Memphis State. That's who he had coming to the SEC. Cincinnati to get the SEC into Ohio, and Memphis State. Obviously, that didn't happen, but finally, which is now Memphis, by the way, finally Cincinnati is going into a major conference, and it will be the Big 12. So that's kind of
a little off.
Memphis wouldn't have sucked as an SEC team, no more than Missouri probably. I mean, Missouri went to the SEC championship game the first couple of years they were in the deal, or early on in their tenure. But I could have seen that Memphis as a possibility there, but that didn't happen. You had the Big Ten getting to 12 by adding Missouri. You know what? I feel like Missouri's a Big Ten team. I feel like Missouri's a Big Ten team parading around in the SEC. I used to think that Vanderbilt was misplaced in the SEC because of the fact that how they competed in football. Really, they only had a minute where they're any good in basketball. Fantastic baseball team, with Tim Corbin, but it wasn't that way in the past. I always felt like Vanderbilt, with their academics and everything else, belonged in the Big Ten. The problem is Vanderbilt was a original team in the SEC. They were a charter member of the SEC. You're never going to get rid of them. But I could see Missouri in the Big Ten, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought they should have just stayed in the Big 12, to be honest with you. I honestly thought they were more kind of a West team anyway. I know it's Midwest technically. I mean, the middle.
More Midwest
in the middle.
than they are West.
Yeah, but I guess that
more
whole
Midwest than Southwest.
Yeah.
I mean, so what he had.
It's kind of like Nebraska. I don't like Nebraska being in the Big Ten.
I don't like Nebraska in the Big Ten. So Nebraska was in the Big 8. Remember, the Big 8 was Oklahoma,
right.
Nebraska, Kansas State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Oklahoma State. I don't know who the other was. Missouri. So they were in the Big 8. And then you had the Southwest Conference. The Southwest Conference was a great football conference where everybody cheated. I mean, it got so bad that it wasn't that you had to have the death penalty for, SMU. It wasn't that teams were on probation. The whole conference basically blew up. But Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas, Houston, these teams were in TCU. These teams were in something called the Southwest Conference back in the day. So he had a 16-team Big 8 Southwest Conference consolidation, which would have been what we call now the Big 12 with 10 teams. He had them with Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, the previous Big 8 teams minus Missouri. Then he had Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas, Houston, Rice, Southern Methodist, SMU, TCU, Texas Tech, Tulane, and Tulsa to make it 16. Tulane and Tulsa were not in either the Southwest Conference so that was going to be like the super conference. There was going to be one, that was the super conference for football, 16 teams in the Big 12. And ironically, the Big 12 ended up basically having 10 teams for the most part. They'll have 14 in a couple of years, and then when Texas Oklahoma leaves, they'll be actually 12. The Big 12 will actually have 12 teams. But they used to be the Big 8. So that was what he had going on there. The ACC only had 9 teams. The ACC had North Carolina State, Florida State, Virginia, Maryland, Duke, Clemson, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech. He had them adding Louisville. Now, Louisville ended up in the ACC, but he had them adding Louisville to get to 10. Of course, as we know, they also ended up with Florida State, which was an independent, and they ended up with Miami. Miami was an independent, and then Miami was in the Big East. Remember when the Big East started playing football, see, you had these non-football schools, Villanova, St. John's, Connecticut was a non-football school, Providence, Georgetown, Seton Hall. Those were the basketball-only schools. And then the Big East had Syracuse, Boston College, Miami, Pittsburgh playing football. He had them adding Temple, which they did, Rutgers, which they did, West Virginia, which they did, Virginia Tech, which I don't think that was Virginia Tech ever a Big East school? I think Virginia Tech went straight to the ACC, I believe. And then he had them adding DePaul as a basketball school and Notre Dame in all sports except for football. Well, that's true. Notre Dame, before Notre Dame started playing in the ACC for everything but football, they have a deal where they play 5 ACC football games. Before that, Notre Dame was in the Big East. Notre Dame basketball, baseball, things like that. Notre Dame was in the Big East.
Vautech was independent from 65 to 90.
So they were independent and then went right to the ACC? Or in 90 did they go to the Big East?
91 first? They went to the Big East.
So they were in the Big East, Vautech.
From 91 to 2003.
All right, so Vautech was in the Big East. I should have known that. I remember going my first college football game ever was Vautech Syracuse at the Dome, at the Carrier Dome. And of course, about the Carrier Dome. The Carrier Dome was stifling hot. Carrier is an air conditioning company. Carrier Air Conditioning.
Right.
The Carrier Dome did not have air conditioning. And it was the Carrier Dome. They used to open the doors and turn the fans on to try and blow some of the hot air out of the Carrier Dome. I think it could get steamy in September.
Could you see a return to some of the old SEC teams like Georgia Tech or something joining the SEC in the future? Maybe Tulane.
Not Tulane.
Not Tulane.
Not Tulane. Georgia Tech, it's a possibility. If the ACC were to completely collapse, I think Georgia Tech would be a possibility. Was Clemson not an SEC team ever for a minute? I know that Swanee was, of course, the University of the South. And Georgia Tech and Tulane were. But I don't know if was Clemson, I'm talking about way back. I don't think Clemson was ever.
All I see is the SIAA and the Southern Conference.
Yeah, I don't think they were never an SEC team. I think Clemson.
Yeah, they were never in the SoCon back in the day, the original SoCon.
I think Clemson would have made a lot of sense. I think it would have made a lot of sense. Finally, something we did not talk about the other day. I don't know if you had heard about this, but there was a story out there that said that Nick Saban, after the kick six, that Nick Saban had his agent. He had a media. He actually had his regular agent, Jimmy Sexton, and they had a media agent from Jimmy Sexton's company inquire with ESPN about him leaving football and joining Game Day, ESPN's Game Day coverage. Did you see that story? That Nick Saban was interested, that he was kind of fed up, and he was looking at the possibility after kick six that maybe it was time for him to move on to another, part of his career, and that it would be there. Now, I'll say this about that. I think Nick Saban, I still think it's in his future possibly, because how much longer can they keep going with Lee Corso? Lee Corso is, but here's the thing. That coach, whoever the coach is that's going to be on that panel, I think Nick Saban can be entertaining. I think there's a certain amount of, ha-ha with Nick Saban. But I don't think Nick Saban would be too nuts and bolts. I don't think Nick Saban would be overly entertaining on game day as an analyst. I can't see Saban. You know what? I always thought Spurrier would take that gig. So I think Steve Spurrier would be good in that role. I don't know that Nick Saban would be good in that role. He decided to pass that up. Win 3 more national championships. Just pass that.
We need a show like what was it 10 years ago when it was Lou Holtz and Mark May and.
Well, they got that show.
They still have that. Well, who do they have it with now? I haven't even paid attention to that after hours.
That's the show that Trevor Maddich is on.
Okay, so it's Trevor Maddich now.
Trevor Maddich and.
You put Trevor Maddich and Nick Saban on that show?
No.
Trevor
Maddich is on that show now, and when it was Lou Holtz had that personality. They were trying to have an in-studio style of game day. You know what I mean? You had game day out on site with Lee Corso, and then you had Lou Holtz in studio. And Holtz was a character like that. He was funny like that. And Mark May came off, I thought, very pompous. He always kind of came off like holier than thou. Was a very pompous guy. I like Trev. Trev's a friend. I'm outside of this job. Trevor's a friend. And, I like him a lot. But I don't find him to be like an overly entertaining. I like him because I think he's really good with the nuts and bolts. But I don't find him to be like an overly entertaining type guy that way. I think that Lane Kiffin could do that job if he wants to do that job sometime. I think you could see him doing that.
Coach O.
You couldn't understand him. They'd have to have subtitles. Wouldn't it be funny to have Coach O up there and have subtitles?
He'd have his own segment.
I don't know who the former coaches that are out there that could. Steve Spurrier, man. I don't know why he's not doing that. He did it for, he did like a couple of guest appearances, but I don't know why he's not doing it. All right, that's it for us. Coming up next, the Hotlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies from Philadelphia. Braves look for the win in the series. We'll have that coming up for you, followed by Paul Feinbaum. And then the drive. Nate Oates is on the drive tonight. Alabama basketball coach Nate Oates on the drive tonight. You might want to check that out. This is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
UFC 277 set for Saturday in Dallas. The main event, the highly anticipated rematch between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. Nunes a minus 275 favorite, Pena plus 230. For the interim flyweight championship, Brandon Moreno minus 220.